And welcome to the Ruby Tuesday. I am reviewing Cloverfield Paradox. Okay, so Cloverfield Paradox is a paradox in itself because when it dropped it was just crazy, and we've done a feature on how Netflix has changed the course of cinema history, the way we view films and see films and TV series, and we've done a whole feature on that. So if you want to know all about that, it's a pretty cool feature, then just click the link. I'll leave a link somewhere below. It's on our channel, so I hope you enjoy that.
Whatever you're doing right now, stop.
Cloverfield Paradox is the third part in the JJ Abrams produced series. The first film was directed by Matt Reeves, and that was basically handheld shaky documentary style of these people trying to survive a world where monsters have invaded. We didn't know much about it. It was one of those classical films that did the less is more, so we only see very little of the monster. At the end there's a kind of a big reveal. We had the sequel, which was like a thriller, kidnapping thriller that was all set in a bunker. Well, the majority of the film was all set in the bunker, and then the last bits of it showed this whole alien race and how it is connected to the Cloverfield world, and that kind of blew everybody's mind, and that was a really nice addition to the Cloverfield series. I really loved the second part. I thought it was clever. And then this third part, which was dropped after the Super Bowl. Netflix showed a 30-second trailer and then said, here you go, you can watch it. It's called Paradox because they're in space. They're trying to harness an energy that can save the world from its depleting energy issues. There's constant blackouts, rolling blackouts, and people are, it's basically like end times again, because humans have used all the resources, and now we're so desperate we've had to send people to space to harness this new power. And if you continue to listen to this, there's no real way for me to review this film without doing spoilers, and so be forewarned. But it's on Netflix now. If you're a fan, you've probably watched it already. So there are so many theories about this film and the universe now that it's hard to pull one thread without tugging at another. It literally can send you spiraling off. No! Don't open that door! This team of actually quite well-known actors, I'm not even going to begin to try and pronounce their names because unfortunately the majority of them have really tricky names, so I'll put up a few pictures of the cast and you can have a look at them. These guys are trying to harness this energy, and something goes wrong and they get sent to an alternate dimension. The story, the really interesting story, is really the basis for the connection of all dimensions and all worlds to the Cloverfield universe, which they have created, and this is where some of the issues arrive in the story.
Right now.
Nothing ever works out really when you start messing with time and paradoxes, and this is where my issues begin. There's a sequence in the first film where you can see a satellite dropping out of the sky, and supposedly that is this station, this satellite space station in space. That's what happens to this one. So that's how they're linking in. Problem is, there are things in this film where they jump back to like cutaways to Earth. One family member who's on a phone that's on a modern day phone, but the first film wasn't set in the time where we had those phones. I mean, it's only 10 years ago, but we definitely didn't have those sort of phones. So it throws time out of whack. But if we're taking the third one now as the basis for the where everything starts, and that's where time unravels, then you could say, okay, well, things have just changed, and that's why there's different paradoxes. There's different dimensions and different timelines, and that's where you can kind of excuse it. You could probably come up with every excusable excuse or to defend it, but I don't think you should need to defend a film. Some films work really well where you have to guess at what's going to happen. It keeps you guessing. It's making you watch the next minutes trying to find out what's happening, like the great whodunit films. This one leaves, I feel like it leaves a lot more questions. So the cast in itself, they're fantastic. It's a contained story in space. It has elements and themes from it, like it pulls from other films. Like there are long corridor shots that are enclosed, and because it's space, everything feels like you know, literally space can attack you if you open a window, right? But it does have that alien feeling, so like there could be an alien around the next door. And because you know that Cloverfield is an alien based series, you do think, even in space, that there could be an alien entity. And there are weird, wacky things. When I was watching it, I mentioned to my wife that this reminds me of Event Horizon. It felt tense like that, and the actors in it are great, and the story plods along nicely, but by the end of it, I was still going, what? In fact, I had a lot of what faces during the film, because it was making me think about the other films and how it connects to it. Also, Cloverfield 4 has been filmed, and now I'm thinking, how is that going to connect? How is this one going to connect to that? So while you're watching this film, if you're a fan of the universe, it does make you think about everything else. Film-wise, it's filmed great. It looks good. It's a very JJ Abrams score. It has that kind of Star Trek feel. It made me feel like I was watching a bit JJ Abrams Star Trek in moments. The gore is great. There's some shocking moments that you're not expecting. So as a film, if this was the only film, I would say, yeah, it's a really good film. I enjoyed it. I don't know what this means and how it connects to other things. And then again, it would do the same thing that Cloverfield 1 did if it was just this film. But because there's others, it leaves a lot of questions.
Stop.
There's so many Easter eggs in this. In one scene, there's a guy with a name tag that links to the second one. I'll let you find that out. So they have definitely linked the universes, but I don't know how it works because of the timelines, because time is out of whack. It's out of whack, y'all! Sorry. Brings up a lot of questions, which I've said loads. Yeah, as you can see, it's confusing as heck, this film. Not because the film's confusing, but because of what it does to the universe.
You know more about it than I do.
We've got, as I said, we've got a feature on Netflix and the Cloverfield universe. I'll chuck that in the playlist and then a link. And we've also got the trailer, so we've got the whole kind of Cloverfield clustered together, so you can kind of piece it together for yourself if you like. And if you're new to the Ruby Tuesday, then why not subscribe and live long in Tuesday. And it